What's going on, guys? CrustyKs here from the Go Boys Network, coming to you to talk about the college basketball slate for Tuesday. We have an absolutely massive Tuesday slate on our hands here, so I'm really excited to talk about it. Let's jump into it. The first one we're going to talk about here, Alabama taking on Ole Miss. Ole Miss, 9.5-point dog on the road. And for me, when I first saw this line, it reminded me of last year when we saw Auburn playing South Carolina. And Auburn, I believe, was laying like 11.5 at home, and everybody thought that was one of the most insane lines I've ever seen because South Carolina had like just beaten Tennessee. They were, they're looking like one of the better teams in the country, and they were catching 12 points, and they got absolutely destroyed. This kind of gives me that same vibe. I like Alabama minus 9.5 here. This is just a bad matchup for Ole Miss. So you look at Ole Miss defensively, and what they do, they allow a lot of threes, a ton of threes. And you're going to face an Alabama team who we all know is a volume 3-point team. And then on the flip side, Ole Miss is a team that does like to shoot a lot of threes themselves. And you're getting an Alabama team who actually has done a really good job this season of limiting opponents' 3-point attempts and running them off 3-point line, forcing them to work inside. So this is a Ole Miss team that doesn't like to work inside. They don't get a lot of twos. They don't shoot a lot of twos. Prefer to shoot the 3-ball. And I think this is a bad matchup for them stylistically. There's also a team that I personally am not that high on. I think their metrics are a bit inflated defensively from incredibly soft non-con. And I think we kind of see that get exposed here once again against an Alabama team who's absolutely rolling. So give me Alabama minus 9.5 here. Next one we're going to talk about here. We'll talk about Mississippi State going to Auburn. Auburn laying 7.5 points. Janai Broome is out. This Auburn team is incredibly deep. And seeing them laying 7.5 points against Mississippi State, given how well Mississippi State has played, is a little bit surprising, especially with Broome out. For me here, it's like, I know they're a deep team, but to me, Broome is the catalyst, I guess, if you will. If he's not on the floor, I just don't think this Auburn team is good. I know that they're deep, like I said. They have a lot of guys who play well. But for me here, I like Mississippi State plus 7.5. They're coming off a loss at home to Kentucky, a game that honestly they didn't look very good in. Obviously going to Auburn's tough place to play, but I think without Janai Broome, I think this Mississippi State team has a chance to hang in this one. Cardwell, down low is going to have to be like one of the main guys, and he's a liability in terms of fouls. Same with Cheney Johnson. This is just a spot where I think Mississippi State can take advantage of a Broome-less Auburn. So give me Mississippi State plus a 7.5 here. Next we're going to talk about here, Duke taking on Miami. Duke is laying an absurd 24.5 points. Obviously Duke's rolling. This is a spot where I think a lot of people are going to try and get cute with Miami, but Miami's just a bad team. If you've watched this team play, they don't have any consistent scoring, especially with Nigel Pack out. They just don't have the offense. And against the Duke team, which, I don't like laying these big numbers because I feel like you have that backdoor potential at the end, kind of how what happened in Duke's last game where they just kind of stopped and allowed Notre Dame to kind of claw back into it. Same kind of thing here for me. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go Duke first half. Let's see if I got a number up right now. It wasn't up earlier. Yeah, it's not. Okay, so it's not up yet. It should be like 14.5 once the line drops. So Duke first half. That's where I'm going to go here. I'm going to lay the points, whatever it may be. I think they just dominate this Miami team early. Like I said, the reason I'm going first half is because the backdoor is definitely real with this kind of spread against Miami, where I think Duke kind of just put it in cruise control after the first half. So give me Duke first half spread here. Next one we're going to talk about Iowa taking on USC. USC coming off that monster win over Illinois. Obviously Iowa having trouble on the road. Bit of a tough spot for them for sure. But I like them to get the win here. This is one of those spots up here. Stylistically, the matchup makes sense. You get two teams who want to run the floor. No real interest in trusting USC. USC just played their best game of the entire season without question, beating Illinois, like I said. And I just don't think this team's good, to be completely honest with you. So we look at Iowa. Iowa's coming off a big win over Indiana. Now I was surprised by that. It was a tough matchup, truthfully. But we look at USC, look at what they want to do offensively. They're a team that likes to shoot twos. And, that's my biggest concern, I guess, with Iowa is because they kind of funnel you to the two. But when you're playing a team like USC who doesn't like to shoot threes, I like them to adjust their defense here a bit and kind of, play to that. I just think, like I said, this is one of those spots where you have to fade USC off the big win. These spots have been profitable this season. They've been profitable pretty much every season where you fade these teams off, off these big outright dog wins. It just, I don't know what it is about them. Like there was even one earlier in the season. I want to say it was maybe Dayton. They beat Marquette, and then they played UNLV, and like it was so hard to want to back them versus UNLV, but it ended up being like one of the easiest bets probably of the season. Same kind of concept here. It's just, USC coming off a huge program win for them in terms of the Big Ten, obviously against one of the better teams in the conference, one of the better teams in the country. We fade that even at home. We fade that. So give me Iowa here. You can take them plus 1.5, or just take them on the money line if you don't want to take the plus 1.5. Last one we're going to talk about here: San Diego State taking on Colorado State. This probably isn't one that a lot of people are going to talk about. But San Diego State's a team they like to back. Their defense is obviously elite. Colorado State coming off a big win over UNLV. San Diego State coming off a game where they got absolutely shut down by New Mexico, which I thought was pretty crazy. So for me here, it just comes down to how elite the San Diego State defense is. They're going to be on their home floor here facing a Colorado State team that's been rolling, a team that a lot of people are probably starting to have a little bit of interest in. And this is one of those spots where, in my opinion, you get that bit of a wake-up call against one of the front runners in your conference. So looking at these two teams here, Colorado State, they're a team pretty balanced in terms of attack, whether it be 2 or 3. They do shoot a pretty high volume of threes, which isn't going to work that well against San Diego State. San Diego State, although they allow a pretty high percentage, they don't allow a lot of clean looks, and because of that, they're holding opponents just to 27.9% from 3. And they're 4th in the country in opponent effective field goal percentage. So this defense is elite on all accounts, and I think they have their way here against Colorado State. I think they hold Colorado State likely to their lowest total we've seen in, weeks. So, looking at this Colorado State team, they scored 91, 84 in back-to-back games against 2 lesser defenses. I'm really curious to see what their team total is going to be at in this game with such a low total. But I think you either take San Diego State minus 8.5, or you could take Colorado State team total under. It's going to be a nasty play, but man, I think they both come through. So probably my favorite play on the slate, San Diego State minus 8.5. That does conclude the slate, though. That's 5 games I want to talk about. There's a whole bunch of other games. Like I said, if you guys got questions, at me in the Discord or comment them below. I deal with some kind of illness thing right now, so that's my eyes look all messed up, but we'll get through it. As always, you can get all my official plays at goldboys.com. If you have a gambling problem, don't worry, Gambler. Thank you, guys.